Welcome to a special bonus episode of the 98% Life After Prison. Today, we're going behind the fence at Orange County Correctional Center, where in late February, I had the honor of attending a graduation ceremony for therapy dogs trained by residents of the prison. EENP, short for Ears, Eyes, Nose, and Paws, has developed a training program called ABLE at both ends of the leash. ABLE trainers are incarcerated people specially chosen to train therapy dogs. At this graduation ceremony, 4 dogs were matched with a client who has a disability. Here's Carlos Santizo introducing his dog, David.
Yes, so I would like to talk about David.
The dog.
The dog, yes. A little bit about David. So when I first met him, I like to call him a handsome, concerned citizen, right? And I say concerned citizen because his eyebrows are always like windshield wipers, right? So he's a snuggler by nature. I kind of learned that when I put him on the bed. And he jumped on and was like, "Can I lay on the bed?" Right? Sure. And like 10 minutes later, we're fighting over the pillow. And instead, I said, "You know what? Let's go lay on the ground." Still some more negotiating, but I think the cool part is like we settled out of court, and we settled with him just putting his head on my lap.
Anybody that spends any amount of time with David will learn that very, very quickly. And now it's really exciting because not only does David, I don't know if he knows this, but one of his main jobs now is to do deep pressure therapy. And so now his love and hobby, I guess you could call it, of snuggling will be really helpful for Hannah Grace, who he was matched with. And now he gets to alert Hannah Grace's parents, including his handler, Bethany, who is Hannah Grace's mom, ahead of any sort of vasovagal episode, so that Hannah Grace can take the time that she needs to go outside or get some snuggles with David and feel better. So, congratulations.
That's EENP's Hannah Baum, describing David's new job providing deep pressure therapy for Hannah Grace. Carlos started with the ABLE program while in medium custody at Orange Correctional. He's moved up in the program and currently has a work release job in the EENP office. After the ceremony, I had a chance to ask him what he's learned from training therapy dogs.
I think in a nutshell, ABLE has taught me everything. Programs in this system are tailored to, one, get you a certificate that says you have been able to understand the concept of self-help, or two, giving you an introduction to a vocational, like I guess any vocation or some kind of trade. I think what ABLE did for me was help me discover myself. It also helped me become better at learning how to fail. So we have a concept in the culture, which we reframe failing into not yets. And that just means we're not ready for that pass, but we'll be back and get it right, because there's information to learn and there's a lot of growth behind not passing the first try. And with that being said, I feel like this program has taught me, one, like a lot about my identity in terms of like truth versus the masking or the pretending that the culture in prison forces you to do. And the other part is character. I don't think there's any business or like any institution, be it Harvard, Yale, that can teach you anything about character development. And what it does here, it gives us a platform where we're allowed to tinker with a lot of ideas with the help of like influence, right, from our boss. But it's ours to explore. And like, I think you'd be amazed what can happen with 16 criminals, 10 dogs, and 4 walls to hold us inside of them. I discovered emotions that I did not know they existed, didn't know what they were, but came to find out that a lot of my training or a lot of my actions actually affect how my relationship is with my dog, which in turn shows me how much it's affected my relationships in life.
So when you say you discovered truth instead of the prison truth, your truth, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think when you receive your inmate's clothing, right, like your jumpsuit or your uniform, it's almost like a mask comes with it and an unwritten bylaw. So I want you to imagine an invisible set of rules on a piece of paper that you have to learn as soon as you step into the fence. And you're forced to behave some kind of way, and any other way is intolerable given the circumstances, right, that we're in. I think what Abel offered to me was the ability to be able to shed that gear off. And we like to say, like, taking off the full plate armor and being our true selves. Meaning, one, who are you? What do you stand for? Right? And how do we keep that? We keep that by giving it away to the next guy who's entering the program, right? Teaching them through dog training. It's super interesting because it's like with every dog training lesson comes a life lesson.
It helped you with relationships with people.
Yes. So, I'm originally from California, and coming to North Carolina was a little bit of a challenge for me, right? Very quickly discovered like Southern time is a thing. And it actually was a culture clash for me because I grew up really, really segregated inner city. And to be able to come into a world where like everybody gets along, that is not what I expect, like what I had expected coming to like a southern state, right? So I came very, very apprehensive, very well guarded, and like just minded my business and tried to stay out the way because I felt like I wouldn't fit in. And once I realized that there's a big thing that we say in the program where it's like, I'm not here to hurt, I'm here to help. And when I seen that everybody in our culture was super willing to accept me as who I was, it catapulted me into meeting one of the most, if not, a set of the most amazing individuals I've ever met. And I would have never imagined meeting such awesome people in prison. Like, we change lives on a daily basis, and that has helped me as well. To me, like, these are people that I'm coming, like, these are lifelong friends for me now. They're not just other guys that have Opus numbers and stuff. They're friends.
So you said that you also learned to fail and that was okay. Admitting you failed and dealing with failure and being okay with failure takes a certain willingness to be vulnerable. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I'm going to piggyback off the word vulnerability there. It takes a lot for us to be able to be amongst men, but also being around us as inmates, right? I would say it's a different category of man. So to being able to say like, hey, I've trained this dog and now I'm getting eval in front of everybody. The big test, right? A lot of pressure comes behind it, let alone the self pressure that we put on it. And to be able to say, I'm willing to put this in your hands and tell me if my dog and I or us as a team passed this evaluation. And granted, everybody wants to pass, but the vulnerability comes when you're willing to say, hey, how did we do? Right? That asks a lot. And I know it's a simple question, but I think being in that position of the evaluator for so long, we start seeing like there's a safety net of trust. Regardless of the outcome, we know that we're on the same team at the end of the day. And that just means that we can group together, and whatever information we got from those not yets just means that we can continue to grow, right? That's the frame we have. The mindset is when we get a fail, which we call a not yet, it just means that there's more room for growth. And the cool part is like it gives you more time to strengthen a foundation. Yes, with the skills, but again, back to the relationship. Like there's a relationship that has to be had there. And the dog won't respond if there's no trust. So when you see us walking our dogs, asking our dogs to sit, or just simple as waiting in line. Like, it may not look like much, but that dog is communicating the level of trust that it has for you.
So you get out in 2 years. How do you see this program translating into your life after prison?
So my boss recently asked me this question when I first started work release. He said, "What's your passion?" And I think she was shocked to hear my passion is cooking, um, which is very true. And the root of it is I like to watch people smile. I like to watch people be happy or come in community. And I think that has now been able to transition for dog training for me. Today we had a matching ceremony where we got to see dogs meet their new handlers. And again, there's a lot of like unwritten science behind it, but there's a match that happens past just me saying this dog is a good fit for you. It's a ripple effect that ends up happening, right? And I think because I've been part of it now, actively versus being part of the ABLE program, you only get to see a little bit about of what staff in custody allow into the fence. So we only get ingots of like what that means. Now being on the other side of the fence on work release, I actually get to be with clients on a day-to-day basis. So I see the struggles. I don't just hear the stories, I'm witnessing them. And that to me means the world, because like I've been selfish for a very, very long time. And now I'm thankful to have been given the opportunity to have a platform to say, like, this is something I want to continue doing. In a perfect world, I would love to build something like this on my own. It is not easy. Even just tending to puppies, right? So imagine trying to run a business while still tending to puppies. This is definitely something that I want to continue to pursue post-release.
That's very cool. I have one more question. Who makes the match?
So it's typically the program director, the client service specialist that are the ones that observe. I'll teach the classes, right? Because I'm a newbie, I get to teach the classes, and I'm in the process of learning how to do matches, right? But ultimately, it's the program director and the client service specialist that get to do that.
Is there anything in particular that you'd really like to add?
I think to anybody that does hear this, if you have the time to join something that's greater than you, or are willing to give a little bit of yourself for something greater, this is definitely the space and platform for you. You're always welcome here, and there's always room for you. We push for growth, and it doesn't feel good because it's frustrating. But at the end, like, you will see the outcome or what comes from it. And it's a beautiful thing that comes from it.
Thank you so much for all that you do.
I think from there we can move right into our ABLE trainer speaker, which would be Dante Santiago.
Y'all trying to get me to cry, but that's not going to happen. One of the most special things about working with the clients is hearing their story and getting to see how the dogs bring them joy, and how the dogs help improve their lives in so many ways. Being a part of the ABLE program is very similar, like Cariella has said. The dogs help improve our lives, in so many ways as well. I often feel that with each pup I train, I'm giving the clients a piece of me that will help them live their life to the fullest. And every time I get a chance to work with clients like Jennifer Pelgrim, who was at Warren before I left, who was partnered with Leonard, they're sharing with me a piece of their life to help inspire me to keep living to my fullest, regardless of the circumstances. You often don't get to realize you're a part of something special until you take a look back and look at the whole picture. To all the clients, past and present, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. And I want to thank you also for you guys being a part of my journey as well. Thank you. My name is Dante Santiago, and I've been at Orange Correctional for 2.5 weeks.
And how did you get involved with the ABLE program?
In 2018, I was sent to Warren Correctional from Tabor City. And I was walking to the chow hall, and they had turkey a la king. I'll never forget it. And I hate turkey a la king, but I was broke, so I had to go eat it. And I was walking on the yard, and I seen a bunch of people with a bunch of dogs, and I was like, what? Dogs in prison? Like, and I was going through a real tough time at that time. Like, at that time, I just didn't want to live. Like, honestly, I just didn't want to live. And so when I seen the dogs, I was like, wow, that's interesting. And I remember I had a case manager when I got there. She asked me, what do you want to do? What you want to get involved with? And I was like, I don't want to do anything. I'm good. I just want to do my time. And she's like, you sure? I was like, well, there is a dog program. I see the guys on the yard with some dogs. I think that would be pretty interesting to get into. And she's like, okay. And so maybe like 2 weeks later, she said, she's like, I'm going to try to get you in there because I'm about to leave. And I was like, oh, man. And lo and behold, it took about 30 days. I got an interview, and they had 2 positions open. And they had a position, an actual dog trainer, a secondary, and they had a janitor. Lo and behold, they made me the janitor. And I was mad about that. I didn't like that. I was upset. And so, but that's how I started with ABLE, the janitor position.
What is the janitor position with ABLE?
So basically, the janitor position it's a temporary position that's set up. It's set up to show guys, to show the administration and to show the boss lady if a guy is really interested in the program. It's a position I think is a great position because a lot of times for what we do, we need guys to be self-motivated. We need guys to be take initiative and things of that nature. And so the janitor position is basically like, hey, you may clean certain things, certain chores, duties. But if you want to be a part of the dog program, you have that option if you want. So it shows if a guy is really interested, self-initiative. And so when they made me a janitor, I didn't like that. I had a little attitude about that. But my mom told me, she said, hey, they gave you the opportunity, what will you do with the opportunity? What will you do with the opportunity that was given to you? So I always tell guys, like, I started as a janitor.
So what has being with the ABLE program, what has it taught you?
I think being with the ABLE program has taught me a lot about myself, has taught me a lot about leadership. I grew up in a military family. Everybody in my family's in the military. And so I always just assumed that I was going to go be in the military as well, different things of that nature. And but it's just that it didn't work out. And so I think we have a saying in ABLE that leaders carry water too. And basically saying like, hey, if I am a leader in the program, I set the example for other people coming up behind me. So my attitude, my dedication, my sacrifice, my enthusiasm, my willingness to, weather the storms of the tough times. I think ABLE has taught me a lot about myself and helped me develop those characters of what I believe a leader should be and what I would like to see in a leader or a person I would like to follow.
Did you see that in yourself before you ever joined ABLE?
No. No, I would say you might see it, but you apply it in the wrong way, and then everything that you think a leadership is the total opposite. I always tell people I'm not a leader. I'm just the guy they call when there's a problem. And so really like that's what, but again, leadership is about, it's a service. It's about sacrifice. It's service. You know, I want to see the best out of people. I want to see the best out of the ABLE program. And I think that starts with myself first. Self-reflection. If I can't lead myself, I can't lead nobody else. And I think leadership starts with self-reflection, looking at yourself in the mirror, and then replicating what you want to see, so others will be willing to follow.
Did you grow up with dogs?
I actually did. I grew up with a variety of dogs. And so I would find a stray dog and I would bring a stray dog home. And my mom be like, absolutely not. The dog is not coming in my house. And so we'd have to stick it in the backyard and tie it to the fence. You know, everything I knew about dogs changed the moment I became a dog trainer. Having a conversation with the dogs can't speak. You know, so when I first heard those things, I'm like, what the world? This lady's crazy. The conversation with a dog, like, and so just understanding that the way dogs communicate is with body language and context and, you know, repetition, just continually to understand that is how me and my dogs began to have a conversation. So, yeah.
So I guess you've learned a lot from the dogs as well as just being a trainer.
Every dog I've had taught me something about myself. I can go and I can tell you every dog that I've had, I can tell you what they taught me. From my very first dog, who I have a picture of. The only picture I have of any dog is my very first dog. And that's her name was 11. And she taught me about rejection because she was a firecracker. Nobody could deal with her. Nobody wanted to deal with her. And I remember looking at her and it's just like something she doing. The way she looked at me is just like something clicked. It's like, nobody wants to work with you. I got assigned to her to work with her. And I was kind of like hesitant, like, but I remember she hopped in the bed one night and she just laid her head on my chest and was laying down. And she kind of just like exhaled, just like breathed out. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but we're gonna get through this. We're gonna make it. We're gonna figure it out. And I ended up passing a large amount of advanced skills, service dog skills with her. And I keep her picture because it's encouraging for me to remind myself like, hey, you can do this. You know, she helped you do this. And if you can do it with her, you can do it with anybody, any dog. It's about relationship.
It is about relationship. Yeah. And it's taught you about relationship with other people, yes?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say relationships in that regard, the best dog trainers have the best relationships with dogs. You know, the best leaders have the best relationship with people. And I think that is one of the things that I had to learn very on, that leadership isn't about, you know, telling people what to do. Like, no, for the sake of telling them, that's not what it's about. Leadership is about investing in someone to see that they become better, seeing them better and believing that they can be better and possibly even better than you. And when a person believes that you have their best interests, they thrive, they flourish. And it's the same way with dog training. When the dog trusts you, when the dog has the relationship with you, you can ask him to do anything. And the dog will say, this is my person. I trust you.
It's so much about trust. And trust is something that is hard to come by in prison.
Trust is earned in the very crazy ways in prison. You almost have to do something bad to gain a person's trust. And so in the ABLE program, it's different because we have two sayings. We say, how can I help? I am here not to hurt you intentionally. I may hurt you at some point, but it won't be intentionally, and the thing behind it is how can I help? And so when a person asks you, how can they help? 9 times out of 10 in prison, they want something behind it. A few minutes later, they may come ask you for some commissary. They may come ask you for a phone call, whatever it is. It takes some adjustment for the ABLE program because, we believe the ABLE program is the very antithesis of everything prison is. We want to be different. We want to have a safe environment. We want to have a family-like environment. That's not always the case. We aim for that goal, and we meet it pretty consistently. But prison brings forth a lot of trauma and everything in people. And so when you get in that environment, you're not used to it. The very first thing you do is you shield up.
The governor, I understand, commuted your sentence. Is that right?
Yes. He commuted my sentence November 13th of last year, which made me honor grade eligible immediately. And I was at Orange Correctional, and the administration there I had built up a rapport with them, and they were super supportive, and encouraging on me moving forward. I had been at Warren for 7 years and was working with some awesome guys there. And so working with those guys, the administration was like, hey, we want to encourage you to move on. And they allowed me to move on and come to minimum custody. So I was happy.
Have you allowed yourself to kind of imagine life after prison?
I have. I think the one thing I think about the most is people I'm leaving behind. That probably hurts the most because I want to go home. I do. I won't even lie to you and say that I don't. It is leaving those guys back, those guys who want the same opportunity that I have, but unfortunately don't have it. And honestly, I think about, the victim's family as well. I don't deserve this opportunity, but I've been given it. And I'm indebted to them as well, just the way I live the rest of my life. I think that is important. One of the things that I want to do, that I hope that I can do, is work with at-risk youth and hopefully bridge the dog program and at-risk youth together in some type of way that catches them early. Because as you've seen earlier, we start our training early. And if we can catch them before, if we can catch them in training school or, alternative schools or group homes, if we can catch them before they get into prison, maybe we can stir somebody the right way. Maybe we can affect their lives in a positive way.
You may be interested to know that when Dante went to prison in 2003, he thought he'd spend his entire life behind bars. He'd been given a natural life sentence, which meant life without parole. Since Governor Cooper's commutation in November of 2024, the parole board has ruled Dante eligible for release and a second chance to build a life as a free man. It's a testament to the power of the ABLE program to transform lives. That's it for our bonus episode. Stay tuned for April's next episode of On a Mission with a Purpose, coming soon. I have to take a break at the end of June to have my left shoulder replaced. But as soon as possible, we'll be back at work producing entertaining and thought-provoking news stories for the 5th season of the 98% Life After Prison. In the meantime, check out our new website, www.the98-lifeafterprisonpodcast.com. That's the 98-lifeafterprisonpodcast.com. For the 98% Life After Prison, this is Judy Van Wyk. Have a great summer and stay cool.